Bismillah.
In the name of God, most compassionate, most merciful. Allow me to begin by congratulating Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock on assuming the presidency of the 80th session of the General Assembly. I extend my appreciation to His Excellency Philemon Yang for his commendable efforts at the helm of the previous session. Your Excellency, Madam President, Your Excellency, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you. I have the honor to stand here today before you to address you on behalf of Iraq, which boasts a long-standing history that you are all aware of, a history rife with challenges that we've faced and managed to prevail over, a history rich with hope, aspirations and opportunities that our people is seeking to leverage in cooperation with our friends and thanks to the support of international organizations, namely the United Nations. On behalf of the government and people of Iraq, I wish to thank the United Nations for its role in support and defense of the democratic system in our country. This was done through the representatives of the Secretary General, from the late Sergio de Mello to His Excellency Mohammed Al-Hassan, who will be our partner in the drawdown of UNAMI in Iraq as it completes its work, and as we await the completion of the work of the UNITAD. Pursuant to Security Council Resolution 2732 and 2697, this is a testament to the stability of the security situation in Iraq and the entrenchment of our democratic political system. I stand here before you today while Iraq has regained its rightful place in the international community and in relations with its neighboring countries. I address you while my country chairs the session of the current session of the Arab League and the 77 and China. We are also playing an effective role in international and regional organizations such as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the Non-Aligned Movement. These are organizations in which we were founding members. This also holds true for the United Nations, whose charter we've signed upon its establishment, and we stand ready to play the part of the intersection between East and West. I would be remiss not to extend my sincere thanks to the United Nations, which has supported our democratic milestones in Iraq, including local and parliamentary elections, whose 7th iteration we are preparing to hold in the coming weeks. We pursue this to ensure the peaceful transition of power and the establishment of constitutional institutions. We have become a beacon of hope thanks to the great sacrifices our people has conceded with great resolve to ensure coexistence and respect for pluralism, contrary to the repressive regime that formerly ruled Iraq. And as the guarantor of the Constitution, I'm cooperating with the judiciary as the safety valve of the democratic system to hold free, fair, and transparent elections to ensure neutrality and equal opportunities to candidacy and parliamentary representation. In this regard, Iraq has responded positively to the UN80 initiative launched by the Secretary General to strengthen the efficiency and effectiveness of our organization. and Iraq stands ready to discuss the potential hosting of United Nations regional and international headquarters in Iraq, based on the cost efficiency plan established and in accordance with the United Nations right for usufruct or in exchange for symbolic rental payments. This reflects our commitment to international cooperation and to play our part in strengthening the United Nations. Iraq has triumphed over the threat of terrorism, and today we look forward to wiping out the last vestige of this barbaric terrorist attacks. We rely on the unity of our people and the establishment of development plans to heal the wounds of the past and pave the way for a promising future which relies on the steadfast national will of our people and the international community's support. Terrorism is but one scourge, even if it takes on various slogans and manifestations. It therefore should be countered comprehensively without any distinction as to its forms. We reiterate the need for the international community to implement all relevant Security Council resolutions, namely Resolution 2178, 2396, 2462, and 2331. We underline the need to hold accountable those who support terrorism through funds, weapons, safe havens, or media outlets, and those who allow the transfer of terrorists. We pursue our efforts for the return of displaced persons to their homes following the liberation of our territories from the scourge of terrorism. This requires international support and concerted effort in various arenas to ensure the reconstruction of liberated areas, to provide housing to displaced persons and services to them. And the most important is to ensure, or to reassure all components of our community, those who have suffered genocide, enslavement, and displacement, such as the Yazidis, the Christians, and many more, that this will no longer be repeated, and that perpetrators will be held to account through international cooperation and once justice is served, and this will protect our diversity in Iraq, so as to ensure that our citizens remain in our country on the land of their fathers and forefathers. We've kickstarted the dismantlement of camps inhabited by families of terrorist operatives to ensure their repatriation, their integration, and their rehabilitation. This requires international cooperation, since this file constitutes a threat to the security and stability of the region. Today in Iraq, we are pursuing sustainable socioeconomic development by strengthening investments in our capacities, and so as to pave the way for a reduction of reliance on oil and the promotion of the diversification of our economy through the strengthening of agriculture, the industry, and renewable energy. We have been providing important investment opportunities in water, electricity, and infrastructure, and we call upon the international community to strike fruitful partnerships with our country. We call upon the international community to support us in recovering stolen funds. These funds will promote development, will ensure the prevention of money laundering and the circulation of funds at the hands of outlawed groups. We've held the first census in many decades, and it has revealed a population of 46 million with an annual growth of 1 million. This is both an opportunity and a challenge. The number of young men and women entering the labor force is increasing. At the same time, Demand on services and job opportunities is also on the rise. Therefore, we are currently establishing plans that allow us to leverage the advantages of our demographic situation while addressing relevant challenges. Iraq is amongst the countries most vulnerable to climate change. Desertification is eating away at our green pastures. Water scarcity is now an existential threat. It is coupled with rising dust storms, and this is the current situation of the global environment. Iraq is seeking to tackle this challenge through the development of renewable energy, the improvement of water management, and the reduction of carbon emissions, as well as an increase in green spaces. We call upon the international community to support our efforts by providing technical and financial assistance. Iraq reiterates the importance of committing to the principle of common but differentiated responsibility in addressing climate change, namely the crisis of the reduction of water resources in transboundary rivers. This is a daunting challenge for Iraq. Our country has always sought cooperation and understanding with the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Republic of Turkey to ensure the sharing and management of the basins of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. We acknowledge the adverse impact of climate change and demographic growth on the availability of water. However, at the same time, we call upon the upstream states, Turkey and Iran, to ensure or to avoid harming Iraq, a country that is traversed by the two rivers from its north to its south. This is a lifeline for the stability of its people and for our economy. It is also the source of our great civilizations. Reduced water resources will bring about damage to our environment, to our human capital, and to our economy. It also adversely impacts the diversity of our culture and people, especially in the deltas of the rivers to the south of Iraq. We call upon international cooperation and comprehensive approaches underpinned by international law and humanitarian partnership, as well as a comprehensive view to what stability consists of in the region and the world, to reach permanent agreements between Iran, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq to ensure the management of water resources, to prevent damage to anyone, and to ensure a mutual sharing of the rivers of Tigris and the Euphrates. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Palestinian civilians are beset by killing, starvation, displacement, the destruction of infrastructure and state institutions. This is inhumane. It is a disgrace for humanity. Therefore, this must end. This must end. This is also a testament to the selectiveness in the promotion of human rights and justice amongst human beings. We reiterate our call for the international community to take urgent measures to ensure a just and comprehensive settlement to the Palestinian cause through the implementation of United Nations resolutions. This and the establishment of the independent state of Palestine is the only pathway to stability and security in the Middle East and the entire world. Decisive measures must be taken against the policy of settlement and annexation of land espoused by the occupying power against Palestinians to destroy their hope in a livable state. We welcome the wide-scale international recognition of the state of Palestine within the international community. We condemn attacks by the Zionist entity against countries of the region, namely Syria, Lebanon, and most recently, the brotherly state of Qatar. This is a wanton act of aggression that constitutes a blatant violation of international law and United Nations conventions. It also constitutes a flagrant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Qatar. We call for urgent and comprehensive international measures to put an end to these practices and prevent us from slipping back into aggression, such as that we've witnessed against the Islamic Republic of Iran. These attacks against civilian facilities and infrastructure, including in Yemen, must stop. We've witnessed the devastating impact of weapons of mass destruction. Therefore, we reiterate our call for the establishment of a zone free from such weapons in the Middle East. We recognize the right of all states to ensure the peaceful use of nuclear energy, and for international monitoring to be extended to all nuclear facilities, including that of the Zionist entity, to strengthen security and stability in the region. On the Syrian file, we reiterate our commitment to the stability and territorial integrity of Syria. We reject any assault against its sovereignty, and we look forward to fruitful cooperation amongst our countries in all arenas, and we call for a strengthened partnership to counter terrorism and uproot terrorist organizations. We call upon the Syrian government to respect pluralism and peaceful coexistence amongst the components of the Syrian society, as well as respect for religious freedoms and places of worship for all Syrian components. Amid the current rising tensions in our region, we call for an international steadfast position in rejection of the targeting of nuclear facilities through military operations. This constitutes a dangerous and long-term threat against the peoples and countries of the region and the world. We firmly and unequivocally reject the illicit use of our airspace in military operations between warring parties in the region. This constitutes a violation of the sovereignty of our country. It is a threat to the security and lives of our citizens. We call upon all parties to respect Iraqi sovereignty. In its foreign relations, we have always adopted an approach underpinned by balance, openness, and dialogue amongst all countries of the region to settle conflicts and put an end to rising tensions. And we have left no stone unturned to forge peace in the region. Therefore, we welcome all diplomatic efforts to resume and ensure the success of the dialogue between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the international community to pave the way for an understanding that safeguards the right of Iran to a peaceful nuclear program in line with international commitments and conventions. Iraq underlines its full support to the peace process in Turkey and the decision by the Kurdistan Workers' Party to lay down their arms. We look forward to a political and legal framework that can pave the way for a peaceful political process for all in Turkey, and this is the only means to achieve stability and security in the region. Based on our experience in Iraq, we consider that commitment to democracy and the promotion of human rights is a fundamental safeguard for stability in the region and the world. However, this commitment must encompass all systems and must avoid any double standards and selectiveness in addressing injustice and oppression. It is important to strengthen democracy against corruption that undermines the freedom of our citizens, putting pressure to bear upon them. This calls for further cooperation between states and governments to counter corruption, money laundering, drug trafficking, and various illicit financial and economic practices that jeopardize stability and security in the world. These sow division and strife and trigger civil wars. Following 2003 and in the past 2 decades, Iraq has been firmly committed to its principled position, namely good neighborliness with the brotherly state of Kuwait. We have strengthened our bilateral relations at the political and socio-economic levels. And with great determination and resolve, we've sought to address lingering issues with the state of Kuwait ensuing from the behavior of the former dictatorship. We have honored our international commitments vis-à-vis Kuwait, namely regarding reparations and borders, and we've made strides in tackling the file of missing persons and the archive. We look forward to forging positive and sustainable relations with neighboring countries. Those are to be underpinned by regional and economic integration and sustainable transportation projects. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Iraq's message is clear. We are not calling for sympathy, but rather partnership, a partnership to heal our land, to secure our rivers, to safeguard our security, to empower our youth, and to ensure the unity of our region instead of its division. The Middle East has witnessed enough war, tears, bloodshed, and grief. Many opportunities for peace and dignified life have been lost. It is high time to end this urgently and to forge a new path for peace, justice, and cooperation. Iraq is willing to walk that path and to support those who will join it. The peoples of the world, namely the Middle East, look to the United Nations as the last remaining pathway for peace. And they wonder, will it act or will it look the other way? Will we live in a world where international law, human rights, and justice prevail, or will we slip back into the law of the jungle, a disgrace to humanity, one that stokes the inferno of hatred, cruelty, and chaos? May the peace, blessings, and mercy of God be upon you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Iraq. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency David Ranibok Adeyang, President and Head of State of the Republic of Nauru. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Madam President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. It's an honor to address this Assembly on behalf of the people and government of the Republic of Nauru, a small island nation committed to peace, prosperity, and a sustainable future for all. It is also a great privilege to speak as the first leader from the Pacific at this 80th session. As Nauru stands at a defining moment in its democratic journey, we are guided by this year's theme, that we are indeed better together. This conviction shapes my remarks today as I share Nauru's perspective on the urgent challenges before us and the collective action they demand. Madam President, we gather at a time when the world faces unprecedented challenges to peace and security. Nauru stands firmly against war and conflict, believing that dialogue and diplomacy must always prevail over division. The principles enshrined in the UN Charter, peace, human rights, and international cooperation remain our guiding light. Nauru may not have military might, but we have moral authority earned through our commitment to peaceful coexistence and multilateral solutions. And we call upon all nations to choose unity over discord, cooperation over conflict, and shared prosperity as the foundation for addressing our common challenges. Madam President, small island developing states face a fundamental challenge, breaking cycles of dependency that constrain our growth and threaten our economic sovereignty. Nauru's strategy is simple. We invest in our people. They are our greatest asset and the foundation of our future. Education, healthcare, and opportunity keep our community strong, our youth engaged, and our nation moving forward. This principle guides every partnership we form and every initiative we undertake. And we are deeply grateful to Australia, whose steadfast support goes beyond diplomacy and partnership. Australia's friendship has long been central to Nauru's journey. Ours is a relationship grounded in kinship, trust, and the ties of Pacific family. And as we say in Nauru, at Taminabini, which means we are family. We also value our productive relationship with the People's Republic of China and reaffirm our commitment to the One China principle. China's partnership has contributed meaningful opportunities for infrastructure, trade, and development that support Nauru's progress. And for Nauru, these diverse partnerships built on mutual respect and understanding are the foundation of our progress at home. Our economic resilience strategy is centered around the Nauru Trust Fund, which safeguards national wealth for future generations, the Economic and Climate Resilience Citizenship Program, the Command Reach Virtual Asset Authority, Deep Sea Bed Mineral Resources, and our pursuit of Egmont Group membership. Through these initiatives, we are diversifying our economy, creating transparent revenue streams, and ensuring that today's progress benefits those yet to come. And as we look ahead, we must come together in the spirit of cooperation that defines this 80th session. Madam President, for small island nations like Nauru, our vulnerability goes far beyond income. It's the daily reality of disrupted supply chains, narrow economic choices, geographic isolation, and the outsized impacts of crises we cannot control. By conventional measures, Nauru's national income suggests we have surpassed certain thresholds. But the income alone fails to capture our fragility, the isolation, climate pressures, and economic shocks that shape our reality. We commend the United Nations for advancing the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index. The MVI reflects what our experience shows, that vulnerability is about exposure to shocks and capacity to respond matter more than income alone. This week's first biennial summit provides an opportunity to strengthen collaboration between the United Nations and multilateral institutions. Such collaboration should establish the MVI as the benchmark for determining eligibility for development support, for concessional finance, and for technical assistance. We therefore urge the UN, in partnership with member states and development partners, to fast-track the MVI's implementation and ask all development partners to embrace this essential evolution, one that brings fairness and realism to global development policy. Nauru stands ready to work with all partners in realizing this vision. Let us not let a statistic determine who gets left behind. Madam President, the United Nations has recognized what is self-evident to Nauru. Climate change is not just an environmental crisis. It is a direct threat to our peace, our security, and the very survival of our nation. The International Court of Justice has issued an advisory opinion of profound moral and political significance, echoing the urgent warnings of our region. We are approaching COP30, and yet small island developing states still face unacceptable barriers to climate finance. Despite countless pledges, those least responsible continue to struggle most to access the resources urgently needed for adaptation and mitigation. Simply put, the time for debate has passed. Concrete climate action cannot be postponed any longer. That is why we have placed special hope in our own Higher Ground initiative to build climate-resilient communities on elevated land powered by renewable energy and sustainable water systems, and also in the Pacific Resilience Facility. The PRF, an innovative Pacific-led initiative, is designed to deliver much-needed financing directly to communities on the front lines of climate change in the Pacific. By pooling resources and investing in local adaptation, the PRF represents a new model for building lasting resilience across our Pacific region. Nauru calls on our partners to continue to stand with our Pacific family. We also welcome others who wish to join us and invite all friends of the Pacific to work alongside us in building a more resilient future for our region. Both the HGI and the PRF are not charity. They are sound investments in stability, security, and sustainability for communities on the front lines of climate change. Let us move beyond pledges and deliver real protection and hope for our people, the Pacific, and the generations to come. Madam President, the International Seabed Authority faces the complex challenge of balancing competing priorities while fulfilling its mandate. Nauru speaks directly today, because the urgency of this issue requires clarity, not just diplomacy. Nauru has faced several criticisms for its decisions within the ISA. These criticisms, however, miss the point. The true focus should be on ensuring the ISA fulfills its mandate to the common heritage of mankind. The exercise of legitimate member state rights is essential to holding the authority accountable and prompting it to fulfill that mandate. As both a small island developing state and a sponsoring state for deep seabed mineral exploration, Nauru has invested significantly through our sponsored entity to access minerals essential to powering the world's transition away from fossil fuels and advancing the common heritage of mankind. We have consistently advocated for robust regulations that balance responsible mineral recovery with effective environmental protection. When Nauru invoked the 2-year rule, we did so in good faith, expecting the multilateral system to fulfill its treaty obligations in the same spirit. And yet, negotiations remain polarized, and the timely adoption of the regulations appears increasingly elusive. The choice before us is clear. Either we source these critical minerals responsibly through strong regulatory frameworks, or we continue to give in to delay. While we remain committed to advancing the multilateral framework, Nauru welcomes all nations' growing recognition of seabed minerals' importance. And this includes President Trump's recent decision through the 2025 executive order to advance seabed mineral exploration and development. Nauru is committed to working with the United States to maximize cooperation in this sector. For Nauru, seabed minerals represent more than economic diversification. They are a pathway to resilience and a chance to contribute to global solutions. The polymetallic nodules found in our sponsored areas are vital for renewable energy that support the green transition. Nauru urges the ISA to work with renewed purpose to fulfill its mandate without delay for the adoption of the draft exploitation regulations. Madam President, after 8 years of multilateralism, our greatest challenge is evolving existing frameworks to address the realities of today, with recognition, resources, and partnership. The UN80 initiative offers an opportunity to strengthen the UN's ability to respond effectively to the complex challenges faced by vulnerable countries like Nauru. We urge that ongoing reforms operationalize the special circumstances of SIDS as a guiding principle, embedding recognition of our unique vulnerabilities in institutional procedures, financing mechanisms, and decision-making processes. As we look to strengthen multilateral frameworks, we must also address practices that undermine them. Standing with vulnerable nations, Nauru calls on the international community to end unilateral economic measures that deepen vulnerabilities and limit development opportunities. We encourage dialogue on long-standing economic measures, including those affecting Cuba, to ensure they support rather than hinder the development aspirations that the UN Charter and this Assembly seeks to achieve. Madam President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, history will not judge us by our words, but by the future we build, by whether we choose unity over division, peace over conflict, and shared humanity over selfishness. The theme before us, Better Together, calls on us to protect the vulnerable, to build resilient economies, and to safeguard the planet for those who will follow. On behalf of the Republic of Nauru, I reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the United Nations and the vision of a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. For the sake of our children, for our planet and our common humanity, let us stand together, not as divided nations, but as one family determined to build a brighter tomorrow. May God bless the Republic of Nauru. May God bless the United Nations. Matubakar, thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President and Head of State of the Republic of Nauru. We shall now continue the general debate. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Ishiba Shiguru, Prime Minister of Japan, I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Madam President, Excellencies, for what purpose does the United Nations convene us here today?
国際連合の目的とは何であるか。国連は現在、果たすべき役割を果たしているか。今から80年前、国際連合は集団安全保障に支えられた新たな国際秩序の中核となるべく設立をされた。歴史上初めての総力戦となった第一次世界大戦。その再来を防ぐべく設立された国際連盟。しかしそれは第二次世界大戦を防ぐことができなかった。その反省を踏まえ、国際連合は国際の平和と安全を守るための組織として、戦勝国を中心に創設された。しかし、80年経った今、果たして現在の国連は、当初期待された役割を果たしているのか。その機能を十全に発揮できているか。議長、平和と安全は決して主要のものではない。積極的に努力をしていかなければ、平和と安全はもたらされるものではない。国際憲章に規定される国連の最も大事な目的は、国際の平和及び安全の維持です。その主要な責任を負うのが安全保障理事会であり、国連の設立に主導的な役割を果たした5つの国には、安全保障理事会での常任ポストと拒否権という特別な権利が与えられ、そうであればこそ特別な責任を負うことになりました。安全保障理事会のもとに国連軍を創設することも規定されました。安全保障理事会が機能しない場合を考慮して、各国の個別的自衛権や集団的自衛権が認められました。しかしこの安全保障理事会は、常任理事国の拒否権ゆえに、多くの危機的なケースにおいて、必要な決定を下すことができなかった。もちろん加盟国は、英知を出し合い、様々な仕組みを創造的に発展させてきた。1950年には、平和のための結集総会決議が可決をされ、総会が行動を起こすことができるようになった。1956年、スエズ動乱では、常任理事国たるイギリス、フランスを含む当事国が、総会緊急特別決議を受け入れることで、戦闘は停止をされた。 検証にはない平和維持活動も創設をされました。湾岸戦争では安全保障理事会決議により加盟国による武力行使が容認されることになりました。2022年には拒否権を行使した常任理事国はこの総会での説明を求められることになりました。しかしこのような取り組みにもかかわらず、安全保障理事会は今なお十分に機能を発揮できていません。その最たる例がロシアによるウクライナ侵略であります。国際の平和と安全に特別な責任を有するはずの安全保障理事会常任理事国が隣国を侵略をし、国際秩序の根幹を揺るがしています。安保理決議は拒否権で採択されず、即時撤退をロシアに求める総会決議は採択されても履行されていない。ロシアは憲章第51条を独善的に解釈をして、集団的自衛権の名のもとにウクライナ侵略を継続しています。これは1968年のプラハの春を想起させるものであって、国連憲章第51条は決して恣意的に用いられてはなりません。拒否権は大国間の直接の衝突を回避するための安全弁としてやむを得ざる選択であったと思います。しかしながら国連が抱える内在的な限界はもはや明らかであります。議長、国連の歩みを回顧すると、安保理の改革を今こそ断行しなければなりません。常任、非常任、双方の理事国の拡大は必要であります。創設時と比べて加盟国数が4倍に増えたにもかかわらず、常任理事国の数は創設された時のままであります。むやみに理事国の数を増やせばよいわけではありません。しかしながら、安全保障理事会の実効性を損なわない形で代表性を高めることは可能であります。理事国の数を増やすにあたっては、常任理事国の持つ拒否権の扱いにも留意をしなければなりません。新たな常任理事国については、拒否権を15年間凍結することを我々 G4 は提案しています。安全保障理事会の拡大を行い、国連がより高い正当性を持って直面する諸課題に取り組むようになれば、少なくとも現在よりは良い組織、あえて言えば今よりはマシな組織になるはずです。我々国連加盟国の首脳は、昨年の未来のための約束において、安全保障理事会を改革する緊急の必要性を認識し、改革に向けた取り組みを強化すると、世界に宣言をしました。しかしこの1年、どれだけ議論が前に進んだのでしょうか。我々には、安保理改革の実現に向けた議論を加速させ、早急に結論を得る責任があります。各国が拡大のあり方をめぐり、足の引っ張り合いをしているような猶予はありません。私が今演説を行っているこの瞬間にも、この世界では無辜の人々、罪のない人々の命が失われていることを、我々は強く認識しなければならないのであります。責任あるグローバルガバナンスの再構築、 安保理改革の断固たる実行、我が日本国はこれを強く国際社会に呼びかけます。議長、冷戦の終結により、世界に平和が実現するとの希望が芽生えた時期も確かにありました。しかしそれは儚いものでした。旧ユーゴスラビアに代表される民族紛争、このニューヨークも攻撃対象となった同時多発テロ、国家ではない主体が国家と同等の破壊力を持つという国連創設時には想像もしなかった事態が生じました。領土、民族、宗教、経済的格差、このような紛争の種が世界から消え去ることは残念ながらありません。むしろ多極化する国際社会において、これらの対立は一層先鋭化してきております。この厳しい時代環境において、国連はいかなる役割を果たすべきなのか。議長、パレスチナをめぐる情勢は、国際社会が長きにわたり気球をし、我が国も一貫して支持をしてきた二国家解決の前提を揺るがしかねない、極めて深刻で憂慮すべき局面にあります。今般のイスラエル軍によるガザ市における地上作戦の拡大は、飢餓を含むすでに深刻なガザ地区の人道危機を著しく悪化させるものであり、我が国として断じて容認できず、この上なく強い言葉で非難をいたします。作戦の即時停止を求めます。イスラエル政府高官からパレスチナの国家構想を全面的に否定するかのごとき発言が行われていることには、極めて強い憤りを覚えます。ガザの人々が直面する想像を絶する苦難を看過することは断じて許されません。我が日本国はこれまでもガザの傷病者の方々の日本での治療をはじめとする人道支援を通じ、常にガザの人々の命と尊厳に寄り添い続けてまいりました。これからも日本はあらゆる努力を尽くしてまいります。かつては数世紀にわたってユダヤ人とアラブ人とが平和裏に共存していた時代、そのような時代が確かにあったのです。今私たちが目にしているハマスによるテロやガザにおける惨状には、多くの人々が深く悲しんでいます。オスロ合意以来、幾多の困難を乗り越え、国際社会が積み重ねてきた二国家共存への歩みを決して途絶えさせてはなりません。我が国にとり、パレスチナ国家承認は、国家承認するか否かではなく、いつ国家承認するかの問題です。イスラエル政府による一方的行為の継続は、決して認めることはできません。二国家解決実現への道を閉ざすことになる、さらなる行動が取られる場合には、我が国として新たな対応を取ることになることを、ここに明確に申し述べておきます。最も重要なことは、パレスチナが持続可能な形で存在をし、イスラエルと共存することであり、我が国は二国家解決というゴールに一歩でも近づくような現実的かつ積極的な役割を果たし続けてまいります。我々としてパレスチナを国際社会の責任ある参画者として招き入れる以上、 パレスチナ側も責任ある統治の体制を構築しなければなりません。9月12日の総会決議でも確認されたとおり、ハマスは人質を直ちに解放し、武器をパレスチナ自治政府に引き渡すことを強く求めます。我が日本として、パレスチナの国づくり、すなわち経済的自立と有効な統治の確立を強力に支えてまいります。我が国が支援して立ち上げたヨルダン川西岸地区のジェリコ農産加工団地では、現在パレスチナ企業17社が300人以上の住民を雇用しており、オリーブを加工したサプリメント、食品や医薬品など付加価値を高めた産品の輸出を行っています。経済的な自立を図っていかなければなりません。高い使命感と能力を持った公務員なくして国家は決して機能しません。公務員に汚職があっては決してならないのであります。我が国は公務員の能力強化のため、これまで27年間で7000人以上のパレスチナ人に研修を実施してまいりました。これからもパレスチナにおける人材教育を積極的に支援をいたしてまいります。このような取り組みを進めるにあたっては、インドネシアやマレーシアといったイスラム国も含め、ムスリム国も含め、東南アジアの仲間の国々とも連携をいたしてまいります。我が国はそのための枠組みを12年前の2013年に立ち上げ、これを主導してきました。我が国はアブラハム合意の拡大を通じて、中東地域全体に持続的な平和と安定をもたらそうとする構想を強く支持しています。アブラハム合意、それはユダヤ教徒、キリスト教徒、イスラム教徒の共通の祖の名前を冠した合意であります。この2年、アブラハム合意の実現に向けた歩みが停滞していることは極めて残念でありますが、このアブラハム合意の持つ価値が損なわれることは決してないと私は強く信じています。以上、核による脅しが今、安全保障理事会常任理事国により平然と行われています。核使用のハードルが、核使用の敷居が下がりかねないものであり、核抑止の実効性にも新たな揺らぎが生じる現状を私は強く憂います。我々は核兵器の問題に今こそ正面から立ち向かわなければなりません。正面から向き合わなければならないのであります。国内外、世界で唯一の被爆国である我が国に対して核兵器禁止条約への参加を求める声があることは私は十分に承知をいたしております。しかし我々は核戦争のない世界を維持し、そして核兵器のない世界を実現しなければなりません。核戦争のない世界、そして将来的に核兵器のない世界を実現しなければなりません。そのためには核の保有国、非保有国、この双方が揃う NPT こそが最も効果的で、かつ現実的な唯一の枠組みであります。我が国は来年の NPT 運用検討会議が成功裏に行われ、世界が核兵器のない世界に一歩でも近づくことができるよう、国際社会に対話と協調の精神を強く訴えます。核をめぐり、非常に厳しい安全保障環境に置かれる我が国にとって、アメリカによる核を含む拡大抑止は、国民の生命財産を守り抜くために、これからも必要であります。私は、抑止論を否定する立場には立ち得ないものであります。それが、責任ある安全保障政策を遂行する上での現実であります。しかし我が日本が経験した核による惨禍は、核による悲劇は、この世界で二度と繰り返されてはなりません。広島が最初の被爆地であることは歴史的事実であります。これは変わることがありません。しかし長崎が最後の被爆地になるかどうかは、人類のたゆまぬ努力と権利にかかっています。世界の多くの人々にとって原爆のイメージは、投下直後に上空から撮影された立ち上がるあのキノコ雲でしょう。しかし今から80年前の広島と長崎で、あのキノコ雲の下では実際に何があったのか。本年8月6日、私は広島市での平和記念式典に出席をして、一つの短歌を紹介しました。太き骨は先生ならん。そのそばに小さき頭の骨集まれり。太き骨は先生ならん。そのそばに小さき頭の骨集まれり。爆心地の近くにある原爆犠牲国民学校教師と子供の日。これに刻まれた歌人、正田篠江さんの短歌であります。燃え盛る炎の中で、生徒たちは必死に先生を、必死に教師を頼ります。すがりつきます。その生徒たちを守ることができなかった教師、その無念の声が聞こえてきます。多くの一般市民が一瞬にして命とその未来を奪われました。生き延びた人々も長く放射線による健康被害に苦しんできました。その苦しみは原爆投下から80年を経た今もなお続いているのであります。世界の指導者の皆さん、そしてこれからの時代を切り開く若い皆さん方には、ぜひとも被爆地、広島、長崎を訪れ、その被害の実相を知っていただきたい。私はこのように強く願います。議長、この核兵器のない世界に向けた取り組みに、今まさに真っ向から挑戦しているのが北朝鮮であります。その核・ミサイル開発は、国際社会の平和と安全に対する重大な脅威であります。完全な非核化に向けた幾多の安保理決議の完全な履行を、我々は北朝鮮に強く求めるものであります。 加えて我が国と北朝鮮との間には拉致問題もあります。拉致被害者及びその家族も高齢となり、時間的制約のある拉致問題は、ひとときも揺るがせにできない人道問題であります。日朝平壌宣言に基づき、拉致、核、ミサイルといった諸懸案を包括的に解決し、不幸な過去を清算して、日朝国交正常化を目指す、この方針に変わりはありません。我が国は、引き続き北朝鮮に対し、対話を呼びかけます。国際社会の皆様には、引き続きご理解とご支援を強くお願いをするものであります。議長、国連の役割は、狭い意味での安全保障面だけではありません。国際の平和と安全の実現のためには、国連の経済、社会面での活動も不可欠であります。我が日本が重視してきた人間の安全保障の理念は、個人に着目をし、人間の尊厳を守る概念であります。日本は援助を通じて、特定の経済的権益や軍事的拠点を求めるものでは決してありません。ただ純粋に世界中すべての国と共に笑い、共に泣き、共に汗を流したい。これは我が日本の国際協力の基本であります。この決意のもと、先月、我が日本国は横浜において、第9回アフリカ開発会議 TICAD を主催いたしました。1993年の立ち上げ以来、我が日本は、アフリカ自身の課題解決を支える姿勢を貫いてまいりました。本年の会議でも、アフリカ各国が直面する課題について、日本の技術や知見を生かした革新的な解決策を共に作り出すことを打ち出しました。アフリカとインド洋地域の貿易、投資の活性化、アフリカの域内統合に向けて、インド洋、アフリカ経済圏イニシアティブも打ち出しました。この推進にあたっては、インドとも緊密に連携をいたしてまいります。我が国は、自由で開かれたインド太平洋ホイップの実現に向けて、今後とも力を尽くしてまいります。議長、いずれの国も、歴史に真正面から向き合うことなくして、明るい未来は開けません。戦争の惨禍を決して繰り返さない。今年8月15日の終戦記念日にあたり、私自身そのことを改めて心に刻むことを誓いました。国際社会を分断される人類2度目の世界大戦を経験した世代の多くが、各国において社会の中心から去りました。その中にあって、国際社会は再び分断と対立に向かっています。日々多くの命が失われるウクライナ、中東、そして我が日本が維持する東アジア。これらの地域の安全保障は相互に密接に関連しております。我々がこれまで希求してきた法の支配に基づく自由で開かれた国際秩序は、今まさに歴史的な挑戦を受けています。私は強く訴えたい。この挑戦に立ち向かうにあたっては、健全で強靭な民主主義をこれからも育て、守り抜くことが肝要だということを強く訴えたい。私は民主主義が広まれば、世界に平和が訪れるなどといった楽観論には立ちません。全体主義や無責任なポピュリズムを排し、偏狭なナショナリズムには陥らない。 差別や排外主義を許さない。このように健全で強靭な民主主義こそが、自由で開かれた国際秩序の維持、強化、国際の平和安全に大きく資するものと、私は信じるものであります。その土台となるのは、過去を直視する勇気と誠実さ、人権意識の寛容、使命感を持ったジャーナリズムを含む健全な言論空間、そして他者の主張にも謙虚に耳を傾ける寛容さを持った本来のリベラリズムであります。議長、アジア・アフリカ諸国が初めて結集して世界平和と協力の推進を訴えたバンドン会議から70年が経ちました。これは我が日本が終戦後初めて参加した本格的な国際会議でありました。アジアの人々は戦後、日本を受け入れるにあたって寛容の精神を示してくださいました。そこには計り知れないほどの葛藤があったはずであります。しかしこうした寛容の精神に支えられて、不戦の誓いのもと、我が国は世界の恒久平和の実現のため力を尽くしてきました。私は韓国や中国、東南アジアをはじめとするアジアの首脳の皆さんと意見を交わす中にあって、未来志向の関係をさらに進めるべきことを改めて確信し、その思いを各国首脳と共有をいたしました。この1年、アジアや中南米の諸国を訪問するとともに、日本においでになる多くの首脳の皆さん方と会談を重ね、その数は1年間で90カ国、4つの国際機関に至りました。その中で世界の国々にとって日本は必要とされているとの思いを数多くの機会に感じてまいりました。我が日本はこれからも世界から求められる国であり続けたい。そう強く願うものであります。一日も早い安保理改革の実現を、核戦争なき世界、核兵器なき世界の実現を、共に地球規模課題を克服できる世界を、そして分断よりも連帯、対立よりも寛容。日本はこれからも国際社会と共に歩んでまいります。決して揺らぐことなく、取り組みの先頭に立ち続けてまいります。この決意をもって、私の演説を閉じることといたしたいと思います。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of Japan. We will hear an address by His Excellency Aziz Ashkenaz, Head of Government of the Kingdom of Morocco. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Madam President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Majesties and Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me at the outset to congratulate Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock on her election to the presidency of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. I wish her on my behalf and on behalf of the delegation of the Kingdom of Morocco, all success in her endeavor. Allow me also to seize this opportunity to reaffirm our full support to the relentless efforts made by the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres. His leadership remains vital in fighting global challenges. Your Excellency, President of the General Assembly, this session is held as the world is facing a number of challenges that require to adopt a pragmatic approach. Globalism has brought people together. However, it is facing unprecedented challenges today due to economic and climate problems, as well as technological developments and other challenges that are growing very fast and that pose main questions about governance and responsibility. This is an era of reshuffling priorities and international dynamics. For this reason, geopolitical changes need to be assessed the right way if we really want to address challenges. This is something said by His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God protect him, when he stressed that the world today is going through a main transition from a global system that has achieved its goals, but showed it is limited in achieving the aspirations of people, to a new model that we all have to work together to build. Madam President, the United Nations, despite its historic successes, is finding itself today facing the need to adapt with these changes. Does that mean that the United Nations is at stake today as the world continues to change? The answer is definitely no. But our organization is called upon now more than ever to review its priorities, because our main task remains the same. However, the tools and our working methods require reviewing to be in line with the size of current challenges and their complexities. The Kingdom of Morocco has always called for multilateralism that is committed to equality and sovereign equality among states and respect of their territorial integrity and unity. Madam President of the General Assembly, in line with our firm commitment as expressed by His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God protect him, the chair of the OIC's Al-Quds Committee, we continue to follow the deteriorating situation in the Palestinian territories. The Kingdom of Morocco calls today for further mobilization in the international community to save the region from the cycle of violence. Our action today needs to be based on 4 priorities. 1, an immediate ceasefire and a return to the negotiations table in order to put a final end to the war. 2, ensuring the entry of humanitarian assistance to the Gaza Strip and the West Bank without any conditions and restrictions. 3, promote the vital role of the UNRWA. And 4, implement a clear and comprehensive roadmap for reconstruction, the roadmap that was adopted by the Arab Summit under the leadership of the Palestinian Authority and under the sponsorship of the Arab and international worlds. Based on the instructions of of His Majesty the King, we continue to believe that the two-state solution is the only way to achieve sustainable and comprehensive peace in the Middle East. This is the solution that can no longer be delayed or marginalized. It needs to be a moral commitment and a political immediate request. In this regard, we reaffirm the need for political prospects by adopting a defined time frame to ensure the legitimate right of the Palestinian people to establish a Palestinian state that is independent on the lines of June 1967, with Al-Quds, with East Jerusalem as its capital, with Gaza as an integral part thereof. The economic aspect needs to be a part of the peace process, because there can be no peace without economic development. We need to also promote support to the Palestinian authorities so that it can strengthen its institutions to serve its people and achieve their aspirations. And finally, adopt regional security mechanisms that are sustainable based on international law and mutual respect. We also stress our full commitment to defending the holy sites in Palestine, especially Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is very special to His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God protect him, as the chairman of Al-Quds Committee. This is reflected in our diplomatic work and our executive branch, which is currently implementing vital projects to save the legal aspect of Al-Quds and to support the legitimate aspirations and rights of the Palestinian people. We also stand in solidarity with the state of Qatar, Syria, and Lebanon in the face of the attacks they have been under by Israel. In the same vein, we call for the adoption of peaceful solutions to disputes in the sisterly Arab states, including in Libya, Yemen, the Sudan, and Somalia, through dialogue and consensus. These solutions need to be based on the respect of their national sovereignty, their territorial unity, away from any foreign interventions. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, in a world of uncertainty and tensions, dialogue and cooperation have become very important. They are the pillars for achieving sustainable peace. Morocco, based on the great ambitious vision of His Majesty the King, we believe that genuine partnership and collective development is essential in our work internationally. Africa, specifically, finds itself today at a crossroads. Africa, for a long time, was the prisoner of a stereotype. It is today a space for innovation. It launched a number of initiatives to accelerate African integration in the global system. Based on the vision of His Majesty the King, the Kingdom of Morocco focused on Africa as a priority in its diplomacy, and it used it as an environment for belonging, cooperation, and partnership. His Majesty the King has stressed this by saying that Africa needs to transform its challenges into opportunities. It needs to value its strengths to build its future with ambition. Africa is at the center of initiatives led by His Majesty the King. He focused on Africa in his strategic vision, which seeks to unify Africa to ensure its well-being and its progress, while being open to international partnerships that are balanced. This should be reflected in the Rabat track for Africa at the Atlantic. This is a cultural project based on new geopolitical integration that would allow these states to recover their role at the Atlantic and to become a center of stability and security in which cultural and humanitarian cooperation turn into opportunities for socio-economic development. The gas pipeline project is one of the main projects that reflects this vision. It provided or it enjoyed international support. This great project is a response, a tangible response for climate, economic and social challenges. It also shows the innovation of Africa and its economic development. Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today we are faced with a geopolitical reality that is closely linked to climate change, which is affecting the way we live. It's affecting our economy. It is reshaping the international system and threatening international peace and security. As His Majesty the King has said, climate change is one of the major challenges facing the world today. It poses a genuine threat not only to the environment but also to socio-economic development, but also on security and stability in the world. At the center of the challenge is the new strategy. It is a main source for facing drought and climate change. Morocco is facing structural drought and is continuing, based on our King's instructions, to adopt new strategies, including by desalinating water and promoting irrigation systems. In the same vein, we have taken great steps to promote renewable energy and fight climate change. This stresses, or Morocco stresses, the need for collective work to address these environmental challenges. No matter how great, no state alone has enough resources and capabilities to solve this problem alone. This is why we need to work globally today to achieve our collective and effective goals. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, in a few years, artificial intelligence has imposed itself as a new way to reshape our economies and our way of life. We are aware of the great opportunities it provides. However, we also recognize the great challenges it poses. Artificial intelligence should not become an alternative. It should not lead to marginalization. It should rather promote collective development. The tangible implementation of artificial intelligence is imposed today in a number of sectors, such as health, education, agriculture, and others. This is why we are betting on it today. Turning a blind eye to artificial intelligence and not taking advantage of it means wasting economic opportunities. We need to adopt artificial intelligence to reshape the labor market and adapt with the growing and fast challenges imposed by the need to use AI morally, responsibly. This is what the Kingdom of Morocco is working on right now through its digital strategy 2030. Madam President, the Kingdom of Morocco believes that sports leads to peace. It is a pillar for development. In this vein, we will be hosting we are preparing to host World Cup 2030 with Portugal and Spain. This is a real tool for cultural diplomacy and international openness. And this affects our social, economic, and human development. By organizing the World Cup, the Kingdom of Morocco, under the leadership of His Majesty the King, reaffirms its ability to take on great projects globally and mobilize its infrastructure and capabilities to show the real beautiful face of Africa at the international community. Madam President, the Kingdom of Morocco stresses its full support to the Secretary General of the United Nations and his special envoy, a special representative, to find a final solution to the regional dispute on the Sahara. The autonomy initiative is the only solution that is realistic. It is enjoying now growing support at the international level as part of the dynamic launched by His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God protect him. Based on this belief, His Majesty has stressed in his latest speech that the kingdom seeks to find a consensual solution that is a win-win for everyone to save face of all parties. The world is witness that the Moroccan Sahara issue is now at a historic crossroads. The positions of a majority of member states in this organization now pave the way towards a clear path that says it is high time to turn the page on this conflict in full respect of the sovereignty of Morocco and its territorial integrity. This is the international consensus around the autonomy initiative, and this consensus is growing because 2/3 of the member states of the United Nations consider this initiative as the sole pragmatic and credible basis to settle this dispute. On the ground, everything is clear. The Sahara has become a land full of opportunities because of the development model of the states that was launched by Morocco. And this is why this region has become a strategic platform that serves peace, stability, and collective development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 8 decades after its establishment, our organization's goals remain essential today more than ever. However, the changes in our world today require us to overcome the concept of crisis management towards building sustainable solutions. No matter the nature or size of the challenges, our collective responsibility is to work in solidarity to turn them into opportunities and to find comprehensive and just solutions. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Head of Government of the Kingdom of Morocco. We have heard the last speaker in the general debate for this meeting. We will continue the general debate tomorrow at 9 a.m. in this hall. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you very much, Excellency, Madam President.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you.
Oh, thank you for putting up with this. Please come
good.
back.
I will. Thank you. I think we attend the same church.
Yeah.
Christ Church in Rye.
Yes.
Yes.